Let's get it started. Wait, is it recording?
Hello, everybody. It's Oscar season, so we thought we'd go straight for a cinematography Oscar.
We got Roger
yeah,
Deakins on the set here. Thanks, Raj. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Damn, dude.
We got I don't know, another cinematographer.
Who's
Joel Cohen.
Yeah, we got Joel Cohen. We got who's the guy who always shoots Nolan's movies?
You tell me.
Christopher Nolan.
Greg
Maddox.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Greg Maddox?
Tommy Jarvis.
No. So anyway,
yeah.
More extreme. It's going to be even higher next week.
Welcome to Movie Club, everybody. Today, we are reviewing a 2023 Oscar-nominated film.
Yeah.
I can't remember the name of it.
Tar.
No, that wasn't it.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Oh.
It was The Whale. No, it was Tar. It was Tar.
It was Tar. This is about a huge woman named Cate Blanchett. No, sorry.
That's The Whale.
We're watching. We watched Tar. Now, I have never heard of Tar before. This episode of Movie Club was decided upon last week. Rocco said, "You know what? We're going to watch Tar."
You hadn't heard about it prior to that suggestion, then?
No.
Wow.
No,
Okay.
not
I think it's one of those movie titles that maybe I saw and went, phew, like I didn't even register it.
Yeah, I kept hearing from people who were like, "Yo, it's nominated for a lot of stuff."
Yeah.
Even ahead of the nominees, they were like, "That's probably going to get nominated for a lot of stuff."
Yeah.
Like,
By the way, I'm like out of touch. You know, I don't know if you guys ever feel that way.
All the time.
I'm super out of touch. I don't know what movies are coming out. I don't know what TV shows are coming out. I don't even really follow video games. To be honest, I don't know when this happened. Rocco, I feel like you're still in touch. Maybe you make an effort to keep on top of things.
Yeah.
But, I kind of, just do my own little hobbies. At some point, I just stopped paying attention to what everybody else in the world was making, So there's tons of movies for years and years and years, like all the Oscar nominations. I've missed a good handful of them. So I'm not surprised I didn't hear about Tar. Where did you hear about this?
No, I just had friends who had seen it. I think a lot of people I know in LA see more movies than
Well, that's a place to see them because they play all these movies that before they even come out.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Fabelmans was there like a month before it was even whispered about down here.
Yeah.
So
well, let me just say, I am attending film festivals here in San Diego, so I'm seeing movies you guys haven't even heard of, but none of them are getting nominated for Oscars. And they're probably getting nominated for Razzies, actually. I see so many shit films.
Did you guys hear the Razzies drama? Did you ever
I
hear
did.
about that?
No, what happened with the Razzies?
They nominated a 12-year-old girl from Firestarter as worst actress, and it went over super bad. They were just like, "Yo, this little girl tried really hard."
I don't
then
know.
They immediately they went, "Oh yeah, we didn't think about that. That was mean."
You know what? You know what they could do to fix this situation? Nothing. I'm mad. That's ridiculous. What the fuck?
It was just a kid.
The Razzie is something that's kind of in good fun. Haha, you suck, Tom Cruise. Whatever.
Yeah, they were saying this little girl didn't take it well.
No shit.
It's
she's on the watch now.
I
That's all we're
I
gonna
just
say.
feel
It's real bad. For
what did they think was gonna happen?
That people would be like,
Cindy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Roaster.
Fuck this kid up.
Little Cindy, dumbass.
And it was,
Stop acting.
Thanks for trying, loser.
Moron.
That's terrible.
It was funny because even critics who hated the movie were like, "Yo, this kid's good. This kid did it. It was great." And then they roasted her. Anyway,
cool Razzies.
Anyway, but yeah,
cool.
Well,
but this isn't Firestarter talk. It's
this fits in with Tar, today's movie, because it's almost getting to this crazy world of ours.
Yeah.
It's almost getting to the point where you just can't be mean to people anymore.
I know.
Yeah.
Shit. Well, I miss the good old days.
I honestly, and I don't know how I'm going to survive. I don't know how I'm going to move forward if society is just going to say you can't be mean to anybody. We have to be nice to everyone.
I mean, we got to be able to be mean to I got to bully someone.
Frankly,
you tell me who.
I got to get this out. They're going to have to make some sort of job in the future. It's like a therapist, but it's just a real loserly, weenie person who's just you're allowed to bully me. Go ahead. You just take out all your aggression on that person.
I already
but
do.
then you got to pay them a lot.
Oh, okay. Because the reverse. I have paid people to bully me, but it's not. We're not.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, we're not
go into that.
That's
yeah.
not for
Let's
this
keep
show.
talking. Fuck Tar.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's,
all right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Well,
Rocco, you picked this movie.
Yeah.
You had not seen it before this?
No, I had not. Like I said, I wanted to check it out. Heard it was going to be nominated, and then it was. It did. It no surprise here. Cate Blanchett got nominated. I want to say, too, I looked into that like, oh, okay, kind of going into it like, oh, she's in it. I'm assuming, whatever is what I had heard. And then I saw this note. Cate Blanchett had to learn piano, learn how to speak German, and learn how to conduct an orchestra for the film. Okay, now I'm going to bully someone. Kate, chill the fuck out.
She wanted that Oscar.
Oh, yeah. Oh, well, I learned how to do music, and I learned another language, and I learned... Yo. Simmer down, okay?
When do you have the time, Kate?
Yeah, what are you doing?
To be fair,
just act good.
I could have played this role, too, if I was Cate Blanchett.
Okay.
I could have dinkled that shit out on the piano. Yeah.
Damn, did she really learn how to do all that?
And then the German that she was speaking was so rudimentary.
Was it?
Oh, es tut mir leid. Oh, zwei
wow.
und zwei, schnell. This is like fucking year one. What did she do? Fucking babble for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Before she filmed her scenes? Whoever's praising Cate Blanchett, you know what? Get off of it.
Oh, no.
And as far as conducting an orchestra, I watched enough Empire Strikes Back behind the scenes.
Not only that, but what was that Nintendo game back in the day?
What was the what?
There's a Nintendo game where you could conduct an orchestra. What was that?
Wii Music?
Wii Music.
She probably just played Wii Music with Ravi drums.
Conducting an orchestra, by the way, is bullshit. Can we agree on,
just play the fucking track?
Look, you watch conductors and the professional ones, nobody cares. This is all you gotta do.
Yeah.
It's all about the show. It's all about...
Yeah, seriously. If you're not doing that,
those are the people who get famous. And what does that have to do with music?
I think the same thing when I see DJs, because I see some DJs go up there and it's like they hit play on a fucking iPod.
You guys, they're the same. Conductors and DJs are the same. You're right.
You're pretending to make music,
but you're not making the music.
But you're basically hitting play.
Holy
The conductors are the DJs of the 1700s. They hit the play button and then it's the equivalent of doing this.
But again, they get all the praise. Huh.
Yeah, come on. Go. That's the whole movie. I was waiting for the drop.
The sequel to Tar should just be the story of Deadmau5.
Should be DJ Tar.
And his fall from grace. He takes the mask off. I think Deadmau5 already took the mask off.
Tar is canceled.
Exactly.
Cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to do that over.
No, it's good.
Dialogue here.
That was good.
Yeah, don't add music to my dialogue.
I texted Rocco when he picked this movie, and I hit play, and I was 3 minutes in, and it was still the credits, and it was of maybe Yoko Ono. I'm not sure who was screaming, and I just put, I'm already mad at you for picking this fucking movie. What is this?
I don't think that was Yoko Ono. Wasn't that like a tribal song or something?
I had no idea what that was, but it reminded me of Yoko Ono when she went into that museum and started making sounds. I don't know. It was something like that.
I like the music.
Okay. Well, it sounded to me like that Yoko Ono performance in the museum. That's what it sounded like.
I'm a Yoko Ono fan, so
maybe you missed this one.
So there was a treat for opening credits. They really front loaded all of the credits.
Yeah. At
the front of the movie. I know a lot of people that told me that they dipped out on that or they whatever weren't paying attention. But if you were an astute viewer, you got a pretty funny gag payoff when, for a minute on screen, it says special thanks Capcom for the Monster Hunter series. I mean, that comes up and it's like, I'm sorry, what? And man, does that pay off?
At the last second.
Yeah, at the last possible moment. But,
yeah,
we'll get into that.
I was watching the credits to this movie, and the movie does open with 5 minutes of credits.
Yes.
Very, I'm just going to say it, unentertaining credits. I don't know who you hired to make this credit sequence, but I don't know, man. Get a goofier font or something. Spice it up a little bit.
Joker Man font.
Well, Joker Man, dude, fucking Comic Sans at this point. Anything.
Yeah.
What were you going to say?
I thought the decision to do that was you're saying something here. I don't know what you're saying. Maybe I'll figure out later in the movie. But there's a statement here that you're doing this first. There's no reason that you wouldn't do this first otherwise. What could this possibly mean?
What'd you think it was?
Well, now I think it's kind of that was essentially everyone in the orchestra making this movie,
Like they're assembling kind of.
Yeah, we're giving credit to everyone who every piece of this symphony before you see the actual performance.
Yeah. Interesting.
Was what I took from that.
Yeah. I took something different from it, but what I was going to say, I was watching those credits pretty much falling asleep. They were losing me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Within the first 5 minutes until I saw credits for the stunt team. It was like stunts. And it was like 5 or to 10 people. And then I was like, okay, yeah, I don't know what this movie's about, but
Yeah.
they're going to blow shit up. There's going to fucking car crash. I went into this movie so cold and I'm like, I don't know what this movie's about, but there's stunts are in the credits and like stunt actors.
Yeah.
So the whole movie, I'm like, hold on. There's gonna be like a fucking fight or some shit or like
Yeah.
she's gonna fucking like crash a car through a fucking building or
Crash
some-
a tar.
Dude, yeah, she's gonna do some like Mission Impossible shit, like run down the side of the fucking building and steal the papers or some shit.
It's,
Where were the fucking stunts in this movie?
It's so funny.
I can think of one.
The credits set that up for
She
you.
slapped a guy. Was
No.
that the stunt?
No. The one stunt. Oh, go ahead, Rocco. You're saying
Well,
something.
no, it's just funny what different experiences we had that you saw that in the credits and it set you on that path. I saw Monster Hunter and it's in the whole movie. I'm going, when's she going to get into Monster Hunter? When's she going to get a switch?
When's she gonna be like, I need to blow some steam off?
Yeah, yeah. Seriously, so that was me. So I don't, Sean, I don't know what you thought it was going to be based on the credits, but
Boring.
yeah.
No, what I was gonna. What the fuck was I gonna say? I forgot. Damn it.
Stunts?
Oh yeah, the one stunt is when she fell.
Yeah.
That's like the only
That's
thing
the only
I
thing I
think
could
of.
think of. She eats shit.
And that looked good. I thought
It did
That
look
was a good looking stunt. So stunt.
that was like
double,
Home Alone caliber stunt.
Cate Blanchett stunt double. Good job on that one.
Yeah.
I do want to say before getting into the story itself, though, just still on the credits, but the director of this movie,
Yeah.
I had not seen any of his other work. I don't know. I think this might be his first big theatrical thing, but I could be totally wrong on that. I'm pulling that out of my ass. But are you guys aware of
Aren't
who
you on the IMDb page? Can't you look?
I
up
could.
his
I
name?
actually could.
But you're not gonna.
I have it here.
Yeah. What were you gonna say?
No, I didn't
mean
look
to
him up
interrupt
ahead of time, but
Did
but
Transformers? Wow.
but you guys have seen his work before in some form.
Oh.
Oh.
I guess he's directed other stuff.
I heard the last movie was 16 years ago.
I spent a lot of time
Yeah.
on Pornhub.
Yes, that's true. Little children. Yeah, I'm on Brazzers right now, and I'm seeing a bunch of stuff. No, but anyway, he directed another movie 16 years ago. But you've seen his work in other forms. Have you guys ever been to a piano club late at night,
A piano club late at night.
and perhaps a man slipped you a password?
Mac Tonight, dude. He directed the Mac
What are you
Tonight commercials for
talking?
McDonald's.
A
That's
piano
fucking
club where someone
crazy.
sent me a
No.
password? What?
Fidelio.
No, it's a Stanley Kubrick movie.
Yeah.
You're thinking of a different director.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're referencing Eyes Wide Shut by Stanley Kubrick.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
believe.
Well,
It's just
the director of this movie is the guy who gives Tom Cruise the password.
Oh, he's the piano
in
player?
Eyes Wide Shut.
Oh, wow.
That guy did a couple little parts and then went on to direct. And this is, this
Wow.
is his work.
Good for him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He went on from playing a little piano in a club. See, it could happen to you guys. Work hard. You go from playing in a little club to directing Tar.
Well, I will say this movie cost $32 million to make and so far has made 10. So it's not looking good for another movie for this guy. I mean, it's getting nominated for stuff, but I'm not sure if that investors care about that so much. I don't know how that works.
I think they do. I
Yeah.
think once it's nominated, it'll make money.
I mean, yeah, it was not. I mean,
We're only watching it because it was nominated.
that's a good point.
That's what happens.
That's a good point.
You also never know because, man, Hurt Locker made it all the way and won Best Picture. And that was, I think that's still to this day like the least successful Best Picture. It made like 14 million or
But I
something
kind of feel like
that.
if you're nominated for Academy Award, you kind of live on forever. At least
Yeah.
back in the day. Now there's so many that maybe it's not the case.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We're still talking about Hurt Locker. Every day I talk about it.
So it's got to be a hit.
Okay,
Anyways,
let's
we've
talk about-
covered the
let's get past
credits,
the credits.
and the final scene of this movie. Pretty much, you can fill in the rest on your own. See you later. No.
The first is her going on that stage and doing that. And basically, I thought this was like an interesting way to do it, where it's you find out who she is through this. She's on stage, and they're just giving her biography to herself, for the audience. And to me, once I saw her start talking, I'm like, oh, she definitely The first word she said, I was like, oh, she's gonna like win Best Actress. Like you could just tell that she was like something different here. But I also was incredibly bored, so I don't know. In this first part,
What was the first word she said? I don't even remember.
I don't know the first word, but this her started talking. And it was like her cadence was so
I thought it was something dynamic.
No,
like,
no.
Clairvoyance, and you're like, dang, that's an impressive word.
She said, "Skibidi-doo."
It just wasn't very Cate Blanchett to me.
Yeah, she's already in another form right when it starts.
See, I feel like Cate Blanchett, this is her thing, She's known for making movies where she transforms. She's a very character-focused actor, and all the movies that Cate Blanchett makes are basically Cate Blanchett's going to be
Something else.
fucking weird-ass, totally transformed
Like Daniel
character.
Day-Lewis, maybe?
Yeah. She played Bob Dylan. She played Queen Elizabeth. She played Tar. All very different characters, but like she fully,
Becomes that.
It's the thing about Cate Blanchett for me. She's kind of scary because I don't know who the real Cate Blanchett is.
Yeah.
Honestly, because she is so transformative in her roles that I don't see like an actress portraying a character.
Sure.
She just becomes that character.
Yeah. I mentioned Daniel Day-Lewis before too, but I feel the same. I'm a little scared of him as well because I don't know who that guy is.
Well, I've seen interviews with Daniel Day-Lewis, and he's like the most nice guy, So I've seen but I guess I've never seen interviews with Cate Blanchett, or the interviews I have seen with her. She seems very intelligent, like staggering amount of intelligence, to the point where it'd be like kind of intimidating. Like, she just seems very, very smart, and yeah, I got nothing but respect for her as an actor. But it's almost like it's like a superpower. And I'm like, I can't handle you being so good at acting. I like movies where maybe the acting is a little shittier, but the stunt team shows up a little sooner. So, when I was watching this movie, the first 30 minutes, you told me, you watched the movie before I did. You're like, I hated the first 30 minutes. But then the movie got better. So I kind of went in thinking, like, what do they do for this first 30 minutes that sucks?
Yeah.
But then you came back from it. I feel like this is a good movie, but it's like very cerebral movie.
Yeah, I felt it watching it like, am I not smart enough to watch this? Is what I was thinking at first. Do I not get this?
I felt like I was smart enough to get it, but the whole time watching it, I felt like I was dumb. I was watching it with Joy, and I was telling her, like, I know what's going on in this movie, but I feel like I don't know what's going on in this movie because everything is like alluded to. The conversations are super dense.
They're very dense, and like I also
you
feel
don't even
like
know what they're talking about, but you're just like, they seem pissed off.
And it's a world that clearly it's like high art. And I don't know anything about that. I know nothing about this.
And I typically don't like, what am I trying to say? I feel like there's a lot of movies about rich people eating in rich restaurants, going to rich places that you're not invited to. And I'm like, I feel like I see a lot of these movies and to the point where I'm kind of sick of it,
This past year, I feel like was a huge rise in the rich people suck genre.
Yeah.
I felt like I seriously felt like I saw 20 movies.
And
like
I'm like kind of tired of seeing rich people living their life and they're just so out of touch in their restaurants, like talking about stuff I don't fucking know. Like I was watching this movie thinking like, I'd love to see a movie about shitty people in a shitty restaurant, which, I guess is like Uncut Gems.
Sure.
I was like, those movies do exist. I think I just prefer those.
Yeah.
Long story short, I started feeling like what this movie was so smart. It almost made me question if maybe I wasn't dumb, but the movie was dumb. Like maybe the movie wasn't as smart as I thought it was. Maybe they were just doing things on purpose to make me feel like the movie was smart.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And so, bro, to get back to the credits, why were the credits at the beginning of the movie and why were they so long? I think it was to impart a sense of importance.
Yeah.
I think it was, movies back in the 50s, traditionally, they would put credits in the front. That's like an old-fashioned way to do it, I think that was their way of being like, this is very traditional art form and, we're going to pay respect to all the people. And then the whole first 30 minutes is like a really boring interview, and it makes you feel stupid.
Yeah.
And at first,
Intimidate. Yeah, puts you down.
I think they were purposely trying to intimidate you to make you feel like, and we could talk about this too, to make you feel like, well, two things. I wondered if like Lydia Tar was a real person. You know, it really made me question, like, is Cate Blanchett, is this a biopic based on a real person I've never heard of?
Yeah.
And I actually had to Google it. It's not. This is a totally fictional movie. It's totally made up. So then I was like, okay, it's made up. None of this is real. Why'd they spend so much time doing that? Oh, it was to make you feel like this is real and make you feel like this is a really important, rich, successful person who is so far beyond you and so much smarter than you and so much better than you are.
Yeah.
And then for the rest of the movie, you kind of get to see why people basically allow Cate Blanchett to walk all over them.
Yeah.
Because it's like, you're not going to argue with somebody like that.
Right.
Yeah.
The first half hour of the movie is just basically telling you, like, this is one of the most successful people in the world. They're an expert in what they do, and they do everything, and nothing they do is wrong, and they're rich, and they're brilliant.
You're in that field, whatever they call that, the perception distortion field.
Yeah.
That I've heard them talk about that, with like Steve Jobs and like other people, where you hear all that and you go like, well, you can do no wrong. Yeah, great. Yeah.
Yeah, and so I started thinking, like, you purposely made the movie boring. That was it. You purposely made the first 30 minutes of your movie boring so that I felt like I was in school, and I felt like that's my professor up there.
Yeah, and you also, I think it is an interesting thing because you do feel bad about yourself, which makes everyone feel bad about themselves. So maybe that's what that was too.
And
I felt like, fuck this woman. I'm watching her accolades, and I'm like, fuck eating in these restaurants.
Yeah.
Fuck working in these sterile fucking environments. Like, I started resenting the opulence.
Yeah.
Maybe it was on purpose.
To add to that, Derek, that's so great you're saying all that. After watching the movie, we rented it, I rented it, and once it was over, I had to work on something. I was like, you know what? I'm still in the rental period. I'm just gonna play it again. I probably won't pay as much attention to it, but I'm just gonna put it on again, just background, whatever. And totally, the second time felt way more everything what you're saying, because I think even again, not to foreshadow what happens later in the movie, but even in that opening thing, I felt like the first time I watched, a lot of things were going past me.
Yeah.
But watching it a second time, she's even at one point going like, oh yeah, well, oh, of course. Well, then there's this one composer, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. But later in his life, ended up just playing someone else's tracks at shows, like a little dog show, and whatever.
Shit.
And it's like, oh yeah, you're totally putting down other composer. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're watching the first time like, oh, she knows what she's talking about. But you watch it a second time and you go like, oh, she's totally trampling what other people were doing and kind of dooms herself to that fate.
That's interesting.
Later. It was, I got, let me just say, way more out of this movie. Putting it on in the background a second time, I was just like, yeah.
Totally.
So that I definitely.
You guys
was
may
hit with
remember,
all
I think
that.
we all took the same film class at our community college.
Yeah.
And the teacher said you have to watch every movie twice to fully understand it.
I'll say that. I definitely am lost the first time.
Some movies,
things.
Some movies you get the first time, and you don't need to watch them twice. But a movie like this, that's kind of leaves you in the dust for the first 30 minutes.
Yeah.
There's definitely intentional things happening, and there's no possible way to be aware of what the filmmaker is intending, because you don't have the context of the rest of the story to go back and see the irony and see the groundwork.
Right.
So
yeah.
Yeah,
Foreshadowing.
a lot of times I will hate a movie just because I don't fucking know what's going on. And then when it clicks, I can go back and appreciate all that early stuff.
Yeah.
And this was definitely one of those movies.
And I think that, after that first interview scene, it's her teaching like a class at Juilliard, I believe.
Yeah.
And that scene, again, it's like, yo, there's a lot of crazy long dialogue, and this is one take.
That
like,
was amazing.
This is really well done. And like, again, I was kind of bored and not even understand. She was insulting this kid. I don't even get how at first. I was like, I know you're being a dick to him, but I can't figure out.
I'm trying to unpack it.
But how? How are you being a dick? I couldn't figure it out.
She basically, to go over the scene for people who haven't watched it, she teaches conducting, and he's trying to conduct. And first thing she asks him is like, what instrument do you play? To imply that he's not really a conductor.
Yeah.
And then he admits like, well, yeah, I'm traditionally a violinist. And then she insults the piece he's conducting because she's like, well, that explains why you would find joy in conducting a piece that sounds like a bunch of strings trying to be tuned.
Yeah.
And he like awkwardly laughs.
That laugh has stuck with me. I thought, like, as good as Cate Blanchett was, that laugh was the most real. I don't know why that particular thing,
because that guy has been there.
Because
He's lived that.
It was like, she said that, and then there was a pause, and then he did this awkward laugh to himself. But it was like, that was such good acting.
It was
But then, like, I don't know, for some reason that laugh has really been like, that was good. That was a good laugh.
It's that laugh when your teacher is insulting you and you're trying to be let it roll off. So you're just like, well, I'll just laugh it off because fuck this person.
Honestly, I don't know who that actor is, but I do feel like you're cast in this movie and it's like, all right, you're going to go with Cate Blanchett. It's going to be a 25-minute non-cut scene. And it's just you two of you talking. Go ahead. It's like, fuck the pressure on that. And then I nailed it. Nailed it, I thought.
Yeah. Totally.
Well, yeah. I mean, it must be fun to have a scene with Cate Blanchett. You're like 20 years old.
Yeah.
One of the greatest actors in the fucking history of the world is going to have a scene with you. I bet there's like some one-on-one, like sitting down with Kate being like, so we going to nail this? Like, let's go over our lines, you know?
Oh, for sure.
I think you should do it like this. He'd be like, okay, Kate, what else?
Whatever
like,
you say.
Dude,
yeah,
I would have
tell me how to
waited.
do it.
I would have let her get so far into that scene and then been like,
yeah, you would have.
fucked it up.
Yeah,
like,
we
all
know
right,
you, Rocco.
Sorry, Kate, got to do it again. That would have been.
That's
so
called Rocco style.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Kate.
I wish I could look up how many times they did that one
Sorry,
scene.
Galadriel.
I also wasn't sure, because, Children of Men kind of made it like kind of the bit of like a lot of one take
Yeah.
throughout the movie. But this is the only one in this movie that I was aware of. I don't know if there's any more, but I thought maybe it'd be a recurring thing, but it wasn't.
There are a lot of good long one take things and Fablemans too. For all you for all you Fable freaks out there, you know what I'm talking about.
Probably see that movie.
I heard that movie was trash.
Okay.
So don't bother.
All right, fair enough.
And of course, famously, Russian Ark is a movie that's all one take. 90
But that was
minutes.
one where I was like, guys, Adobe Premiere, use it.
Exactly.
Cut.
So Tar.
Oh, yeah. So anyways, teaching a class is called a fucking bitch, and then the scene ends. I kind of felt like the plot itself, the order of things didn't really matter. I think the first, majority of the movie is just learning out who she is, right? And, you kind of see, now she has, a partner that she is raising, I don't know if they're married, maybe, but, they're raising a kid with. But, you just kind of see her going about her life and kind of being an asshole to literally everyone, right?
Yeah, there's just low-key abuse of her place kind of just constantly at every level.
Yeah, and I didn't, know what this movie was about, but I feel like that is, and ultimately what it ended up being is just, Lydia Tar's, like Rocco said, abuse of power in all aspects of her life. And I think, there's a message here, which is people who abuse their power sometimes don't think they have power, and that's why they abuse it.
Yeah.
Because she's in the role traditionally that a straight white man would be in. Mm-hmm. And I'm not just saying that. I feel like this is an intentional part of the movie. They often reference how most of the famous composers throughout history are cis white men. And so Lydia Tar, being a self-proclaimed lesbian, as she says in that scene, she kind of even vocalizes it in that scene.
Yeah, she does.
I'm a lesbian, therefore I can get away with insulting this student of hers who identifies as a bi-POC.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they kind of, I think that they're trying to say she doesn't see herself as Bach. She doesn't see herself as Beethoven.
Yeah.
And so I'm not doing what those guys are doing. I don't have the power that they have. But then over the course of the movie, it comes out no, you do. And you don't realize that you do.
Yeah, and you're kind of, abusing it.
Yes. And so the movie's like 3 hours long. It's a long movie.
Yeah.
It didn't feel too long. I was generally interested.
Yeah.
But yeah, you kind of just it's a very subtle movie, and you just see, we talked about how the dialogue was dense, and I was like, a lot of times I don't know what you're talking about, but I feel like what the scenes ultimately are about are just her abusing her power.
Yeah. And I was thinking like in every facet, like even like when her kid has a bully and she
that's what I was
goes
gonna
and
say.
confronts that little girl, which, I don't want to talk.
Oh, you've done this?
No. But I will say that this to me was like, no one in the planet has seen the movie This Is 40, but they do
Paul Rudd?
exactly this.
Come on.
Leslie Mann, Paul Rudd. I've seen that scene in particular. I think that was like shown to me, that one scene. But it's the same thing. Like no one's gonna believe you because you're a kid and I'm an adult.
Yeah.
And if you fuck with my kid again, whatever.
Yeah.
And that was almost it was a rip off of This Is 40.
By the
They
way-
just admit it.
By the way, I perceived this movie as a drama, but I've read an article that said it was a comedy.
This movie?
Yes.
Oh.
A very, very dark comedy.
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
that's out. That's out for debate.
Yes.
Is this? And honestly, the line between tragedy and comedy is time. That's what Shakespeare said. Tragedy plus time equals comedy. If you have enough distance from the tragic thing that happened, you can laugh at it. Maybe there's just not enough distance in this movie for it to be funny.
Maybe.
But there are some funny things happening. But yeah, when she like tells the child in This Is 40, that's like a funny scene.
Yeah.
But in this movie, you're just like, man, you're a fucking bitch. Like, once again, you're abusing your power. And this to me was like one of the most powerful scenes because it really dialed home what the movie was about for me. Yeah, you abuse your power at work. Yeah, you abuse your power in the orchestra. You feel like you're the leader there and that people should respect you. But you're also abusing the power you have as an adult in society to intimidate a child and then lie to any person that child would go to find help.
Yeah.
And that's an extreme abuse of power, one that you will never get caught for. And so it's a big character revealing moment of like, you really care about yourself. You have no fucking concept about what you may be doing to that child, traumatizing them, making them like, this is not the way to handle it on a mature level. This is a very vindictive, almost sociopathic way to handle it.
And
manipulative, self-centered.
And that's what I was going to say is when she does that and is walking away and starts saying hi to other moms like nothing just happened.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you're a psycho. Like you're insane.
Yeah. I think that this, you could obviously say this character is suffering from some sort of mental illness. What character isn't suffering from some sort of mental illness?
Yeah.
But this person seems like a sociopath.
And there were some other little clues to that maybe. Like before she would light the candle in her apartment, she'd do the same like thing, like then light the candle. Like some weird like breathing things was like, well, what's that?
That could be like some OCD tendencies.
That's what I thought too.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I'm not a psychologist.
I'm just guessing, but I did notice like, oh, I made note of it. Like, what is that? What's happening here?
I think the character is just very like manipulative and complicated, complex. I think that's why Cate Blanchett will definitely got a nomination, might win the Oscar, because Lydia Tar is very unlikable, but you kind of want to be Lydia Tar. You kind of want to be the best in your field. You kind of want to be, the person that everybody looks to for the answers, but you don't want to be the bad side. You don't want to be like the manipulative, evil, fucked up person. But then you watch this and you're like, Lydia doesn't even realize that. Well, I guess on some level she does, but on some level she doesn't see.
Yeah, and that's
all the bad stuff that's gonna happen as a result of her actions coming down the pipeline. She's oblivious to it.
And that is the thing that really I think I took note of is that like her wife or her assistant later on, like
the way she treats people,
she's terrible to them, and then just moves on like that doesn't matter.
Yes.
And it really is like, well,
it's just like, oh, bitch.
Do you just
what an
not
asshole.
like see that it doesn't matter, or like what is happening?
One of my favorite moments in the movie, I think, was so small, but there's a character who's so Lydia. It starts in New York. She eventually moves to Berlin. She's teaching at a school there, and there's like an assistant. conductor, this guy who she obviously doesn't like, finds him annoying. And he's always clicking this pen.
Right.
The pen clicking is very annoying. And she wants to fire him.
Right.
But not even fire him. She wants to manipulatively remove him from the school, almost make him volunteer to leave.
Yeah, and I thought, I don't know if, I think I pieced this together correctly, maybe I didn't, but I think her mentor that she has lunch with at that restaurant, that is the assistant conductor's husband. And that's why that he has that job still. I think they mentioned that maybe.
Interesting.
So I think that's why that she's allowed him to still be there, even though she does not want him there, is that like, well, my mentor in the past, like, you know, so I'll let him be there, but then she had enough.
Yeah, well, she goes to have this conversation with him, and he's like clicking the pen, and she compliments something on his shelf. He's like, oh, I'll show you that. And he goes to grab it, and she steals his pen. And that to me was the most like, Cate Blanchett is going to win an Oscar for stealing that pen. Basically, it was one of those character moments where it was like, clearly this guy has a tick, and this pen is something, you know, just a compulsion that he has, but you find it so annoying, you're going to manipulatively steal his pen from him just so he doesn't annoy you.
Yeah.
During this conversation where you're then going to try to manipulatively get him to voluntarily quit his job. It was so like just the stealing of the pen was like the whole character in one action. I thought.
To me, also, back to the pen thing, it was like if she was taking the pen, had in her pocket, and then as she was leaving, oh, hey, you dropped this. Okay, now you can need that, and now it's gone.
Took it away from him.
But she just took it away altogether and left, as in like you don't need this anymore. It's like that is so fucking crazy.
Yeah, and it makes me think too. Back to that scene where she was insulting her student, he was shaking his leg nervously.
Right,
and
same thing.
She stops him there too.
Yeah.
So it's like she makes people feel uncomfortable, but then when they show signs of that annoys her, and she forces them to stop. I don't know. And now I'm just vocalizing what Cate Blanchett did as such a great actress.
Yeah, it's just anything she doesn't like, steamroll that.
Yeah,
just
basically.
Like, no, that doesn't work for me. I'm going to stop that.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is the attitude. It fits the character perfectly.
Yes. So
it's done.
The first hour and a half of the movie is just situations like this.
Yeah.
I find them pretty enjoyable as just a showcase of this character.
Yeah.
This movie is Cate Blanchett playing an interesting and complex character.
Which, you know, Derek, I did say when I was only half an hour, like, I don't know about this fucking movie. Like, but as it got further along, I was like enjoying her.
Yes.
So much that I was like, okay, I think I'm seeing it a little bit more. And I was, you know, not sure where it was going to go still.
The story is the character. And sometimes the movies are like that. Like, what the story is, who is Lydia Tar, and how does she affect the world, and how does the world affect her back? And there's not like there is an external story, which is she, you know, kind of wants to hook up with her students. She has these relationships with pretty much everybody. It's never really explained. A lot of this movie is like implied, you know. Her wife was a former student, perhaps. Her assistant is a former lover, perhaps. You see her bringing in a new cellist who she very clearly has an attraction to.
Yeah. Even like, we haven't really covered this, but like a major thing in this movie is this person, Krista Taylor.
That's what I was getting to.
Oh, okay, sorry. Well,
and this is like the external plot is one of these former student relationship, whatever.
Yeah, there was a relationship there, right?
I don't know. They don't say
was.
really.
They kind of,
There was.
Oh, with her?
Yes. So it's all implied, right? This is a very dense movie.
Yeah.
This is why I'm like, the movie is trying to make it seem smarter than it actually is, because they don't actually explain what happened. They just kind of imply what happened, and then they leave it to you to figure it out. So you're like, oh, I see what they're doing. But then you're like, but I'm not sure, because now I'm filling in the gaps and you're not really telling me. So, but yeah, in my interpretation, Leslie and her assistant had like a 3-way relationship with this girl, Krista.
That would make sense.
And that's why her assistant comes to her one day crying, and she's like, I need to be held. And she's like, why? And then she shows Leslie this email or whatever the story.
Lydia.
Krista.
No,
Lydia, who was originally named Linda.
Linda,
Changed her name to Lydia. Whatever. Cate Blanchett, she shows Cate Blanchett this article like, oh, this person we used to know, Krista. Oh, I can't believe she did that. You know, you're starting to think, did she die? And then they're like crying and they were like, oh, we were so great together. You remember? She's like, no, we have to forget her. We have to forget about that. You know, just like she was crazy. So it's definitely like some and nobody there is Lydia's wife either. So there's just a lot of relationship stuff going on. And yeah, so there was
and I do, and like I can't decide if I like it or I don't. That like I wanted to know more about this. Like this is the catalyst of the movie that ends up taking her down eventually.
Yeah.
But like I wanted to, even just through the email, you got like little glimpses of these emails. But I wanted to like, okay, so in the credits, Krista Taylor is like casted, but
Yes.
she's in the first scene. She's the redheaded woman who's watching the interview. You remember the interview goes on for like 15 minutes and then it ends with the back of a redheaded woman watching, and then you never see that character again. But then later you see a picture of Krista and she has that vibrant red hair.
Holy shit. Because I
I'll
was like, where is she?
I'll take it a step further, and this is what elevated the movie to me. This was a second viewing situation. This movie is, I'm kind of jumping ahead a little bit here. Bear with me. This movie's low key a ghost story too.
Well,
Because, yeah.
I was about to get into that too.
Okay.
Lydia may be haunted
Yeah.
and maybe haunted by Krista.
Yeah.
But that actually was a part of the movie I did not like. But
oh, really?
go ahead and tell us what you perceived on the second viewing.
Well, because the first time I watched it, there's scenes later on where, we do find out later that she took her own life. That person emailing them. Which, to your point, Sean, about like, oh, I want to know more about it. I want more of that. I actually kind of liked. It felt like, you know, she's sweeping it under the rug. We're as in the dark as anyone else.
Sure.
And then when you see those glimpses of the emails, it's like,
I think the point there is like, we as normal people, we care and we want to know more.
Yeah.
But Lydia, as a sociopath, does not care
Right.
and literally just wants to sweep this under the rug and move on.
Right.
Yeah. But there was a shot where they're getting out of the car later that I felt like, okay, I feel like there's like a person in the foreground. I'm like waiting for it to cut to them, and they don't. Like there's someone standing there, like in the corner of the frame,
Is it the beginning of the movie?
almost like watching them go in,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
and it never cuts to them. It's not super in your face, but I'm just like, that was kind of weird. Like, what? Did they delete a scene? And it didn't occur to me till later. There's a million shots in this movie where that girl is just in the frame. There's a point where she gets up in her apartment. I don't remember if the thing starts making noise or whatever, and you can literally see her way deep in the frame. They're just like barely hiding behind a door. That girl is just standing there like a fucking specter.
What? In her house?
There's a bunch of
That's
shots like
interesting.
that.
I didn't see that.
Yeah, there's a
Whoa.
bunch of shots
You know,
like that throughout the
Obviously,
movie.
so throughout the movie, we have scenes where Lydia's jogging through the park and she hears a woman screaming.
Yeah.
And it scares her, but she can't find the source of it. She wakes up at night and hears the metronome clicking inside a shelf. She turns it off. How did the metronome turn on? She asks her daughter, were you in my office? No, I wasn't in there. It's like fucking classic fucking haunted house shit.
Yeah.
She finds that her notebook has been mysteriously misplaced. And they really kind of hit it on the head with when she drops a student off at this like dilapidated building.
Yeah.
And then, the student forgot something in my car. And she goes in, can't find the student, but then like the spectral black dog, the hellhound,
Yeah.
you know, from like folklore and mythology is there like growling
Cerberus.
at her. Yeah, and causes her to fall. So
Yeah.
I didn't notice the actual like phantom standing.
She's in a ton of shots.
But
That's interesting.
I kind of just read it as this movie's kind of a low-key horror film, but they're not committing enough to it to me actually thinking it's a real horror film. So I wonder if it's more like Lydia is haunted by her bad deeds.
Yeah.
And then I was like, but she's almost actually haunted. So here's why it didn't work for me. This movie takes so much time to ground itself in reality to the point where you actually think like, is this a real person? The paranormal aspect of it was not grounded in reality. And that I was like, this is either a movie that's trying to be real or it's not.
Sure.
And it didn't ruin the movie for me, but all of those scenes kind of just existed outside, of my reality for this movie. Like, there's weird stuff happening, but I'm not going to think too hard about it because I don't know if this movie is about that.
I do think with that stuff, all that stuff that was like the haunted stuff was always at night, except for that one part in that when she chased that girl's to get their toy back, whatever.
Yeah. And the scream during the park.
And yeah. But it also made me think, like, are these dreams though? Like, because they never really. There were some clearly dreams that you would see. So to me, it's like, well, is she having nightmares and she can't like distinguish which is real and which is not?
They could be. And sometimes, if you watch Mega Strange, you'll know ghosts are said to appear to you in dreams.
Yeah.
Sometimes. So that could still be.
Oh, shit. I just got the dream that was like, what the fuck is this? And it was like out of focus, and it was like two women like embracing, but the girl had red hair. That was Krista.
Her and Krista.
Oh.
Also, the dream, like, of her floating on the river in the bed, and the bed is on fire. It's like she did all these sexual things, and then it consumed her, and now she's going to be sent up the river, and it's literally the river that she goes up at the end of the movie.
Oh, is it the same river?
I didn't realize it until now, but I'm like, yeah, she's floating in a jungle river, and at the end of the movie, she's floating up a jungle river.
There's also, like, in that same shot, there's like a snake coming towards the bed, too. That I didn't notice the first time.
Oh, I didn't notice that either.
There's a serpent going towards the bed.
So I got the impression that those dreams, I don't know if you guys have ever seen the movie Rosemary's Baby.
I have not.
Yeah.
We should watch it. My favorite dream sequences
Yes.
from a movie are Rosemary's Baby.
I probably agree with that. Yep.
And I love the dream sequences of Sopranos too. And I feel like they're very similar when it's like you don't quite know it's a dream.
Yeah.
And then the moment you do realize it's a dream, the dream is over.
Yeah, they nailed
it. It has that feeling. Yeah. And in Rosemary's Baby, there's a scene where there's like a bed floating on the ocean.
Yeah.
And I almost felt like this was trying to channel some of that. It was almost like inspired by Rosemary's Baby. Those dreams in Rosemary's Baby are when Rosemary is kind of being influenced by a demonic entity, maybe the devil. So in this movie, those dreams could be her influenced by this ghost of Krista.
Yeah.
And I'm just spitballing right now because this just occurred to me as we're talking.
Yeah. And with this aspect of the movie, I liked it because it rode that line to me of, this could be her anxiety. She is so self-important, so whatever, that in her mind, she might be conjuring all this like, I'm being haunted by this thing, whatever. This could all be a thing built up in her head. And I wanted to just say, with her hearing that scream in the park, the thing that people have been debating endlessly since this movie came out is that scream is the scream at the end of the Blair Witch. That movie,
What?
It is literally the woman at the end of the Blair Witch sees I'm not spoiling the Blair Witch, she sees the thing happening over there. Scream, huge scream. It's the same audio. That's that recording. And so what the debate has been is like, why was that used?
Yeah.
And there's some people who are like, oh, stock scream. But other people are like, no, that they licensed that. That's not that wasn't just sitting in a sound library. That actress did that.
Wow.
So was it didn't think that people would know? Other people are like, no, that's the ending of that movie. This had to be intentional. And I would even suggest, this is my maybe goofy interpretation of it, is, again, maybe this is in her head. Maybe that's something she saw in a movie, and these things that are weighing on her, she's feeling that, and it's popping into her head, and it's, I don't know. I don't know.
Can I give an analysis?
Sure.
And this is, I'm coming from like the place of a creator.
Yeah.
Somebody who's made a couple films, made feature-length stuff. I think that maybe the director was just trying to be funny. Honestly, sometimes you don't have this big artistic intention.
Sure.
Sometimes you make decisions because you're like, that one's like an inside joke.
Yeah.
And it's like, if this movie truly is a dark comedy, and this movie truly is low-key a horror movie, then maybe the director just thought it would be funny, like, let's use a scream from a really famous campy horror movie.
Yeah.
In our movie, because at the end of the day, this movie actually is not serious. This movie
Yeah.
actually is a little silly.
Yeah, yeah.
Even
yeah.
though it's presented in such a serious manner. And I wouldn't think that, except for the fucking ending of this movie.
Yeah.
Is so out of left field.
as a kind of a
It
dark
makes
joke
me
to it.
question, like,
Yeah.
somebody had a fucking sense of humor on this set.
Yeah.
And a lot of it we didn't get. Like, a lot of us weren't aware of the humor of this movie.
Yeah. What you're talking about too happens all the time with David Lynch stuff, where people are like, I think there's a monkey because, and they have a whole essay, and then it's just David Lynch. I saw a monkey. I really liked feeding the monkey some peanuts. You know, it's like, okay, it wasn't that serious.
Yeah.
It happens all the time. But yeah, I could see that. I could see that. But people are still, anyway, that's all I was going to say was people are still debating the use of that scream in that. So you never know.
That is interesting. Damn.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, we can basically get to the end, right? I mean, do we need to?
I think we are at the end.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, like honestly, the one part we really didn't talk about was the new cellist, and you kind of see her using her power to manipulate what she wants. And this is probably the most like obvious sense of it, right? Like she sees this girl, she thinks she's cute, I'm guessing, and then kind of is swaying everything in her favor. And this girl, I thought it was interesting actually. There was a moment where it kind of shows how young this girl was. Also, that Krista Taylor girl in her obituary was young. She was like 25, 26. And Cate Blanchett is obviously much, much older. So she definitely is using her power here. But the Russian girl didn't seem to give half a shit about Cate Blanchett in any way. But the part that I thought it was interesting is like when she's talking about music with her and she's like, well, what record did you listen to? And the girl was like, I watched it on YouTube. Like, what are you talking about? Like a record. And I thought that was an interesting, fun little bit here. That Lydia is so unaware of what she does on social media, and that's not even a thing to her.
Yeah.
She's so in tune of the old school ways.
Yeah, I wonder too. At one point, she complains about all these people trying to cancel her as millennials, and I'm like, well, they're definitely Zoomers. And I wondered, like, is that a mistake on the writer's part, or is Lydia just like out of touch with generations?
Yeah, I took it as that it's just, that's the typical line. Oh, millennial, you know, like, yeah, that's what I took it as. It's just, you know,
I was like,
I'm repeating this buzzword.
Stop fucking blaming millennials for
Yeah.
all your problems, dude.
Yeah.
Millennials are fucking 40. These are 20-year-old Zoomers. Okay.
Yeah.
So all of this catches up with Lydia.
Yeah.
Her assistant quits on her. She manipulates the dude to get fired. People at her work start resenting her. And then the suicide of this former lover protege comes out in the newspaper. And basically, the movie is about this woman getting canceled.
Mm-hmm.
And I was ready for it. I was like, they're going to cancel her. This is great. This is so entertaining. They do cancel her. You know, the movie is very, I kind of can't tell if I like it or not, how subtle it is. At times I'm like, I love how they don't explain shit. But other times I'm like, this is a little boring. You should just say what you want to say and move on.
Yeah, I do think there was so much character building in the first 2 hours of this movie that I wish there was more of the repercussions. Because you end up like really...
Yeah.
You don't root for her ever. And every time she has the opportunity to do something, she always does the wrong thing.
Yeah.
The only time I could ever think of she actually did something that was like for someone else is when that really creepy scene of that woman who had fallen and she has to put her back in a wheelchair with her neighbor or whatever. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And like she literally picked that woman up, but then like went home and was like grossed out and had to like wash herself immediately because she was so disgusted with what she just saw. Yeah. But like she doesn't do literally anything for anyone. Yeah. I don't think.
Yeah, but I did feel like I could have even used dare I say make the movie longer, but I could have used even a little more of that side of the movie once the boom got dropped on her with all the repercussions of everything. Yeah, I was kind of like, ooh, we're getting into some good stuff now. And then looking, it's like, oh, the movie's kind of wrapping up, you know?
Yeah.
So I could have used a little more
with
of that.
the elements of like it being a ghost story or a horror story. It's like, did we forget that we had a ghost in this movie? Like, was, you know, it kind of like, what was the point of that? Kind of left that, and maybe that's on purpose too. There is one point in the movie where her brother says like, got a lot of loose ends. And she's like, what? He's like, don't really know where you came from. Don't know where you're going.
Yeah.
The movie has a lot of loose ends.
Yeah.
Maybe that's them commenting on like, that's the nature of life.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, she is exiled from music society, her career. I think she ends up going to Singapore.
Yeah, I can't.
Thailand. They don't really say, go guess. Tar doesn't explain where she goes. And it seems like she's going to be teaching.
The Philippines is what it says here.
Okay. It seems like she's teaching at a school there, doing a guest conductorship there. We don't know. It's, like maybe she's just going to exist in this third world country and do what she does there. The final scene, she's conducting an orchestra, and then it cuts to a room full of cosplayers.
Yeah.
And I had to Google this. I was like, what the fuck was she's playing to a room full of fucking cosplayers? Like, what is this? She's doing like video games live. She's like playing the soundtrack to Monster Hunter.
Yeah.
And they're all Monster Hunter fans.
Yeah.
Which I wonder, like, did they know anything about video games, or did they just like that it was a video game called Monster Hunter and this movie is about like hunting this predator?
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, that's a good name for a video game. It's pretty
Because
Interesting.
you could have done
Correct.
Final Fantasy VII, or
Yeah.
bro, would it cut to fucking like they're doing video games live? I didn't know what to think, man. that one
That
hit too close to home. I was like, oh, so I guess building your whole career off of video games is just a big fucking joke.
well, yeah.
Huh.
To me though, it was less about insulting the work of video games and more just she's doing like I said, the shit she literally puts this kind of work down at the opening of the movie and talks for 20 minutes about how she's better than this. And it kind of all paid off there. It's like, yeah, you're in your place now. This is what you said you were too good to do, whatever. And so I thought it was more about that, whatever. I mean, not that I'm not sensitive about Monster Hunter. They better not be insulting Monster Hunter.
But yeah, to see like, oh, this is how far she's fallen. But it's like, oh man, that's the lowest bar.
But you could also.
I was fucking insulted. Can I just say, who the fuck wrote this movie? Oh, how do we show Lydia's ultimate disgrace? She plays video game music. You know what? This video game fucking concerts probably make more money than any of the stupid Berlin Philharmonic, whatever shit. You know what? Monster Hunter made a fucking $1 billion. How much movie did Tar make?
Exactly.
10
million.
Yeah, so you want to act like video games are lowbrow, like the biggest to the lowest she could fall, most disgraced.
Yep.
I'm a gamer.
Yep.
Fuck you.
Well, also,
more money equals better than guys.
Exactly.
You know what? This is the most unrealistic part of the whole movie to me is that literally everyone was cosplaying.
That doesn't happen.
Don't think
that doesn't happen.
No, there's usually a mom or a dad.
Not everyone cosplays, and no one. You know what? I've been to video games live, and pretty much no one cosplays.
Yeah.
To be real.
And you know what? Lydia Tar isn't cool enough to compose for video games live. We don't want snooty, world-class, sexual predator, disgrace composers. We want people who could play electric guitar. Okay.
Yeah.
But I was gonna say, my other interpretation though of this last part, and I feel like another way you could look at it, I don't know if it's positive, but it is kind of also like, well, she's too powerful to truly be canceled. This is a gig. She's doing a big ass thing. But I think it's like, yo, you're too big to totally get eradicated. So you're working, but you're doing that thing you always said you weren't going to do. You know what I mean? Like you were put in your place, but you're still like those who are this big aren't truly eradicated.
When
like
she was
that,
in
I don't know.
and she's in the Philippines, and then the massage thing, which was very unnerving. I thought like the fishbowl and like picking the masseuse out, and then that. But then she like runs out and throws up, and it's like, so she's definitely like fucked up.
Yeah,
she's tortured in some way, and she hates this. Like this is rock bottom for her.
Yeah.
I honestly, overall, thinking about it, I wish there was, more of her fall. Because the whole thing is a fall from grace. That's the story.
Yeah.
You start at the very top and you work your way down.
Yeah.
But I wish there was a little more of the falling. Because I wanted to see this, because this character sucks. And I wanted to see her be miserable for a little longer. Personally.
Yeah, I just feel like they purposely chose not to show that stuff.
I agree.
They just kind of showed you. It was like, did she even divorce her wife? I think she did at the end, but they don't. They don't like show. It's just like, hold on, wait, no, and then that's it.
She goes to pick up her kid, and then the wife takes her away and says, "Please don't do this," and that's it. And then you don't see that ever again.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But it's like,
but then she's also like in her own apartment, like they're not living in the same house anymore.
But I just like, oh man, just give me like 10 seconds of dialogue just so I can see what happened here. Like, let me just see. I don't know. I just want a little bit more.
It was a directing choice.
Totally.
It was like they choose not to show you. It's like that episode of The Simpsons when Lisa's watching this really great jazz performer. Do you remember this episode?
Bleeding Gums Murphy?
Well, it's a Bleeding Gums Murphy episode, but they're listening to somebody else, and somebody in the music is like, somebody in the audience is like, this music really stinks. And Lisa goes, you have to listen to the notes she's not playing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And that guy goes, I could do that at home. That's what this movie is. Like, you have to listen, you have to notice the scenes they're not showing you.
Right. Totally.
And I did do it at home. I watched the whole thing.
Even the point where she realizes her deposition and they say, like, do you need help remembering with the emails? And you know that these emails are a thing and they're a problem. And the second, like, oh, this is when she finds out she's fucked. Like, and they cut. It's like, what? No. Yeah. I wanted to see that.
Yeah. But it's kind of like the notes that aren't there. You got it.
It's just like jazz.
Yeah.
Just like jazz.
So we can get to our reviews now.
Yeah. Rocco, you picked it. You want to go first?
Yeah. When it ended the first time credits roll, I liked it. I was like, hey, I appreciate this. I don't know if it's totally my cup of tea, but very well done. Whatever. Bravo. So I would have given it a 3 maybe. And then just the more I thought about it was like, that. Oh yeah, that. And then having the second playthrough was like, okay, yeah. There was a lot more being juggled here than I gave it credit for after the first, like I said, for me, I'm super dumb, so I definitely got to see things twice. But this one, I'm glad I did play it again because I got even that much more out of it, and I'm going to bump it up to a 4. I think there's great performances, a lot of subtle shit that just was super well done for a guy that is only making a movie every 15 years. I think he did a pretty good job. Yeah, the kind of thing shit I'm thinking about weeks later that I love in a movie. I got a little bit of a Paul Thomas Anderson vibe from the way it kind of played out this way, and there isn't just like one key to understanding all of it. I appreciated that. So yeah, I'm gonna bump it up to a 4. There it is.
Nice. Well, I don't think you're super dumb. So
I think you're smart too. Yeah.
You're a genius, man.
Yeah, dude.
Brilliant.
That makes two of you.
Yeah, I agree. I think I give this movie 4 as well. It's very well made. I would consider this like fine cinema. This is obviously an award-winning film. They intended it to be an award-winning film. It's really interesting. Not my favorite movie. Yeah. Definitely like, hey, 4 stars. Super well made.
Yeah.
I don't even know if who would I recommend this to? I don't know. If you really want to see like fucking, if you're really into amazing acting, check out Cate Blanchett in this movie.
Yeah.
But
this is an Oscar nominee.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what I mean? Like, this is what that was made for.
You want a ghost story? I'm not recommending this one. A powerful person fall from grace. I could probably find a movie I like a little bit better on that topic than this. So that's my review of it.
That's why I was hovering around a 3 initially, not because it wasn't well done or whatever. I don't know how many times I'm going to return to this or just put this on for fun, whatever. Right. But I bump it up because I do think it's a.
But we didn't even talk about the stunt. She does lose her mind and beat up a guy in this movie. So for that, 4 stars.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Watch
It's
the
true.
movie.
That
That's
she
it.
does do that.
I was like, I had to watch that twice.
Yeah, that
Like,
was-
Did I see this correctly?
That was
Yeah,
dope.
that was a good.
I thought it was going to be she dreamed that.
Me too.
Like,
And she didn't.
no.
For me, when I finished this movie, I sat on the couch and been like, I liked it. I'll never see that again. And as time has gone on, I think I've changed. Like, I would watch this again.
Yeah.
And I've thought about it a lot since I finished this movie, and I really liked it. And I don't think it's up for debate. She's gonna win the Academy Award for this. And I honestly haven't seen all the other nominees. I know it's a bold statement, but
Yeah.
I would put money on it. She's gonna win.
I think not to interrupt, but I was just going to say people really love. There's a lot of Oscar nominees this year for people who people really love. Do you know what I mean? Where it's that kind of thing where it's like it might not be the best performance, but everyone's rooting for that person.
Yeah.
That's happening with what's his name, the whale,
Brendan Fraser.
Brendan Fraser. Even if you haven't seen the movie, there's people going, "I hope he wins. Good
Yeah.
for him."
Yeah.
I do think a lot of people want Michelle Yeoh to win. For Everything Everywhere All at Once. People really love her, and she really put herself out there in a lot of situations in that movie that she wouldn't normally be in. But when it comes to just down to just acting, I don't know how you're topping it. Like,
Yeah.
to me, if you really want to give it for the performance itself, come on.
Yeah.
How you doing
Yeah.
better than
Has she
this?
won an Oscar before?
What's that?
Has Cate Blanchett won?
I think so.
I think she went for Elizabeth.
Oh.
Yeah, acting wise, this is just like monologues. This is just Cate Blanchett doing monologues. She's crying.
And not just monologues, but like hard monologues. Like the words are like not like, and sometimes it's in German.
Yeah.
in and out.
The crying scene she did, that wasn't like a single tear, like squeezing it. That was like 10 single tears, squeezing out.
I mean, her playing the fucking accordion in that one scene. Give it to her for just that.
Yeah.
That
was funny.
Going off.
Yeah. So, I thought this movie started off. I really didn't like it at all, but I ended up really liking it. I will give it 4 shakers as well. So,
Wow.
Nice.
I didn't know what you were gonna say, Sean. To be
Yeah.
honest, I didn't know. We haven't been on the same page the most over the last year, so I was
Agreed.
like, maybe he's gonna be like,
no, I think
torn down.
no,
by
I
this
think
thing.
it was a movie. I mean, the world I know nothing about.
Yeah.
Nothing about, and it was interesting to get a little peek in it for a second.
Yeah.
All right, so that's Tar. Oh, also, if they would have named it anything else, it would have made more money. That's a terrible name. Like I know it's all about her,
the
but
composer who sucks.
I mean, honestly, the composer would have been better to me than Tar. But that's just me,
Tar
what do I know?
Tar in the pits.
Yeah,
Tar's in the pit.
Ooh. La Brea Tar Pit. Okay, so my next movie is not an Oscar nominee, but it should be a movie
Firestarter.
that I have seen many times, but I want to revisit because of 'tis the season, as they say.
What season?
We are going to watch the movie Groundhog Day.
More Oscar bait.
Yeah. We're watching Groundhog Day, and watch that movie if you haven't.
I feel like I've seen this movie before.
I don't know.
Again and again.
We'll see. We shall see. So watch Groundhog Day and come join us next week for Movie Club. But until then, watch Tar again, I guess.
They could have called it Get Tar. Get Tar.
Oh,
The music.
yeah.
They could have called it Hard Target.
Hard Target.
Nah, it's a Steven Seagal movie. They already made that.
Oh.
Yeah, turn this off.
Okay.
Sit Tar.
Okay. Fuck.